Hello everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris and I are back as we fear the Reaper with The Final Destination, directed by David R Ellis. This fourth installment in the franchise has a horrifying premonition to save a young man and his friends from death during a racetrack accident, but terrible fates await them nonetheless. This movie was made on a budget of 40 million and brought in 187 million at the box office. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but the important thing is that I kept my cool, and then it cuts to a video of me like breaking things and like shaking.
It wouldn't be streaming on the internet if there weren't technical difficulties. I've been having major difficulties over the last week or so with my sound, and I think it's a StreamYard thing because when I record in other software, it's fine.
Right.
But for some reason, this thing is buggering up, and I think other people have been having problems too using the software.
It hasn't been terrible because I try to watch every stream, and all it takes is just raise the volume from a listener. It's perfectly fine. Like it's still within the parameters if you just raise it a little bit.
It annoys me when I know it's got a certain standard and it's not right, and I don't know what's going on to fix it. I think I've fixed it now, but
but it was never like too low where you couldn't hear. Like it was still fine. But I got you. Yeah.
You want to use this for recording the news videos as well,
right?
It's better with the screen. So a couple of those videos come out and they're a bit watery and stuff, and I'm like, and you've got that to just re-record everything all again, or they just barrel on, and you're just it's always a thing. Things happen. It's just the nature of using technology and going live and putting stuff out. You're sometimes you just have to go with it, but hopefully we're back to normal.
For sure.
Anyway, this was meant to be the final. That's why they called it the Final Destination. This is meant to be the last one.
Yeah, so $40 million budget, and I made 187. I think this franchise has been a huge box office success. I think down to a single one. We don't know about the last one yet, but you can't argue with its commercial success. And I hate when movies remove the number at the end of a sequel, and
it's trying to get clever and go blah 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 blah. Resident Evil series did that. It was bloody annoying.
Yeah, and even like Batman, recently when they came out with Batman again, like it's the Batman, or a lot of sequels do that, and the problem is that it works. I think there are some like simple-minded people that would be intimidated to go into Final Destination 4 if they haven't seen the 3 previous ones. Even if they saw 1 or 2, they were like, I don't want to see it yet until I see them. But if it just says the Final Destination, they don't even realize it's a sequel. Like I bet it does work because that's why they keep doing it.
Yeah, they're always trying to come up with gimmicks and tricks, but I don't know. It just seems a bit silly. The whole thing's just
and it's confusing if you're trying to do like we're doing, where you're trying to review multiple ones.
Like you need to have a dictionary or Google the hand or Wikipedia to go right. Okay, what's the order? Because
exactly.
There's loads of franchises, movies that got, like I said, the Resident Evil franchise is really bad for it, and Underworld series as well. You've just muted yourself.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
clicking. So there's like loads have done that there, and then you just end up going, like I'm a simple creature. 1, 2, 3, 4, carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps keep track. Yeah,
or stop making fucking hundreds and hundreds of sequels or things.
Especially when you call it the final, and then there's another one, and actually another one after this.
They're now talking about making a part 6.
Yeah, I think they're actually pretty far into the production of it too. I think there's even a trailer for it. I've avoided all that because I really want to take these one by one without any knowledge of the next one.
Yeah, it makes sense. But not my favorite entry into the franchise.
No, I would say this is the worst one of the 4. And we'll get into some of the specifics why, obviously, but overall, I felt this was definitely weakest on a number of points. But even the worst one still has some interesting aspects to it. So I'm glad we're reviewing it. Yeah.
These are summer popcorn flicks. People go to the cinema and just go and switch your brain off for an hour and a half, watch the shiny lights, and come out again. That's all these are at the end of the day.
It's I know it's an easy metaphor because the last movie had a roller coaster, but that's what it is. You want to go just for a quick ride, a thrill, and it's not something that you're supposed to like really like overthink. But of course, that's my specialty.
That's what we do here. But yeah, this time they're doing NASCAR. Just like why does that thing exist? I equate NASCAR with drag racing. Like, why do those things exist?
Yeah, I'm not a fan, so you're not going to get any argument with me. You actually had sent me a video of Ulster Rally, which was very cool. I wasn't familiar with that, but that shows a lot more skill. I don't know if you want to describe it better than I can, but I like watching it.
Yeah, they're essentially time trials. So everyone sets off from a grid 10 seconds apart or something, and it's got a circuit, and the idea is to get the best lap time, and they do like 5 laps. But it's not just the one race, it's a whole series of races. So they go all around the country. And it's an Irish and Scottish thing mainly because England has really silly traffic laws.
Okay.
So it's, it's all over the place. But yeah, country roads, stone walls, people are like standing right in the verge.
Yeah, that was shocking. Yeah.
There's a bit of tape put up.
Yeah, there was no railings. There was no
bit of tape. Sometimes if it's a big event, you might get a hay bale here and there. But if you get white hay
bale,
that's that'll save you. Actually, you saw one of the in that video sent you saw like they used hay bales for the circuit.
Yeah, that was the finish. Yeah.
They're coming down and had to do like a shallot.
Yeah,
skin and stuff. I mean, 3 hay bales, dunk, that'll do it. What's mad is bloody Americans are trying to get that in the Isle of Man TT banned. It's like, what the fuck's it got to do with use?
Yeah.
The online arseholes have been watching this now. Oh, we gotta get this banned. It's too dangerous. Like, well, fucking don't do it then.
I was gonna say they're trying to get it banned in another country.
Yeah. Oh, that's arrogance.
That's weird.
The absolute arrogance of it just winds me up.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because these people don't make a lot of money. And it's a lifestyle. It's be sort of racing drivers. It's an absolute lifestyle.
Yeah. It was cool to see that the skill level of trying to like weave in and then brake and like accelerate quickly on muddy roads. Like it was very cool.
Driver and a navigator is actually a two-person team.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So you've somebody with a map. I've done that once, and tell you what, it was an easy track. I'm like, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Because it's hard left, easy right, slow left, slow right, dead ahead. You're basically calling out to the driver, and you do like a test lap, and then you have to basically call it out. What the turns are.
Yeah.
And these things are tuned to the absolute max. No messing about with these things, and it's precise sport. It's not just jollies and stuff.
Not just going around in a circle like NASCAR.
So yeah, you can picture me like people have tried to get me excited about those sports. It's the same as American football. I played rugby till I was 37. What interest am I going to have in American football?
Yeah,
it's it's just that thing. And I'll have to show you some Ulster GP, which is motorbike racing.
Okay.
The same sort of roads, but you've got 5 bikes ahead, side by side, weaving around with each other, trying to beat each other to the finish.
Yeah. It's like rugby on bikes. You're like elbowing each other. Yeah.
There's kicks. It's like 200 mile an hour, like skimming each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Like no messing about.
Cool.
There's the sort of sports I grew up with. So yeah, there's nothing out there that's going to excite me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, we're just like, and then we meet Hunt.
Yes.
Our group of teens, all 4 of them, and
so this is my first criticism of many of this movie, and it's not just this movie, but this movie was worse than the other 3. I feel like the director and the writer, they go so out of their way to tell you that these people are unlikable, so you don't have to mind when they get killed. But which is fine, but they take it to such an extreme. It's like, it's very patronizing. It's like they're telling the audience, you're too dumb to decide on your own if they're likable or not. So we're really going to hit you over the head that these are very unlikable. So don't worry when they die. Just enjoy their deaths and the gore and everything like that. We're really going to emphasize that they're not likable. And it's like, yeah, we get it. You know, like, you don't have to keep hitting us over the head with it.
This is people wonder why I have a problem with the 2000s era of films and art, you know, and it's right up there because today it's just taken to the nth degree. But this was this sort of fermentation, you know, the germination process of these type of movies and these type of characters.
Yeah.
Where everything has to be telegraphed and spelled out to you in excruciatingly basic details because, yeah, Mr. or Mrs. Dumb Audience, you don't have a clue, so Mr. or Mrs. Big Brain here is going to explain to you. Peasant.
Exactly.
Give me your money, peasant. You know,
yeah,
it's that sort of attitude where I just put right off. I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And they really emphasize it in this one. So, you know, Hunt is obviously a douche. You know, they got the racist guy. You got the racist guy.
Was that other guy racist? I had no clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slap you right in the face, just in case you didn't notice. Really?
Yeah.
Honestly.
I expected like a big giant red arrow.
Yep.
You know. Like that's how over the top.
Or a T-shirt, right? Where I'm saying bigot, you know.
Yeah, he has a T-shirt that says bigot. Yeah.
Oh dear. And then we've got Nick, who's generic good guy.
Yeah.
I couldn't warm to him whatsoever.
Yeah, I like the kid in the first movie was good. He had his faults, you know, he was very nervous, he was very socially awkward, he had a hard time talking to people. Like, he was a very 3D character, the Alex in the first movie.
Yeah.
This kid had absolutely no personality. We don't know why he's heroic. We don't know what his family is like. We don't see them. We don't know what he cares about besides the fact that he has a girlfriend. Like, we don't know anything about him. He's just very, very two-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to root for him. And it just didn't, yeah.
I just lukewarm at best. And then we'll have Laurie and Janet, who are completely forgettable.
Yes. Same thing.
And with Laurie, they're trying to make her she's just that bland, and it's this character archetype of they're trying to have her in skimpy clothes and stuff, but there's nothing, you know what I mean? You could swap her with anybody. There's nothing unique about her.
Right.
Or appealing. She's just you sort of go, huh? You know.
Yeah.
It's, and I don't know, and this is the start of hiring these actors and actresses that are so bland. They may as well be clay models.
Right. That's a good metaphor.
There's nothing to them. There's no unique characteristics or spark or personality.
Yeah, you need to know every good character in a movie has a reason why they're heroic. If they're heroic, you have to give a backstory. Maybe they went through a tragedy and they're trying to make good on the fact that they lost someone and they're trying to prevent someone else's loss, or they have some reason that they really care about, and they have a flaw. You need to have a reason why they're heroic, and you also have to give them a flaw. If everyone is perfect, it's the girl boss theory that you talk about. So this guy in this movie is a guy boss. He's just perfectly heroic without any justification why or any flaw. And
so are you talking about the hero's journey, one of the pillars of storytelling?
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very basic. It takes you 2 seconds. If you're worried about slowing down the movie, it literally takes 2 seconds to just give a little explanation or a little flaw, something about the character that makes them, human, basically. Yeah. And these characters had none of that.
No, they're just insert. They may as well be cardboard cutouts. They could have just set a bunch of cardboard cutouts and went plink, plink, plink. Save themselves about 20 million. and we wouldn't have noticed.
This would have been a great movie for the pandemic because you could just have cardboard cutouts. No one would have to be there to get infected. You just and have the movie that way. Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't know, man. But basically, it's, and you can tell they're having I just find NASCAR and those sort of sports boring. But at the same time, if you enjoy it, crack on. But this is, once again, the Hollywood snarkiness of a certain, these people like this stuff, we hate their guts, we're going to belittle them, which I think is a wee bit out of order. And this is the start of this trend. This has been going a long time.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It just kills storytelling because when you see snarkiness all the time, you switch off and you don't lose interest.
Yeah, you become numb to it. That's a good point. But I will say, like, trying to find some positives in the movie, like I am now fixated on like the number 180. And like they do try to like give you like signs of what's to come, which is interesting to watch. And there's like a lot of Easter eggs in the background. There was a poster for Clear River Waters facility at some point, which is a nod to a former character. There is like a lot of stuff to like chew on while you're ignoring the terrible characterization and plot. Like there is some nuggets. Like I saw a ton with the 180. Have you noticed those two now? It's kind of hard not to now.
Yeah, but I was kind of not looking. I was taking notes and just sort of going, "Oh my god, what is going on here?"
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just like, do you know, this is the one, like 3 movies I've been like invested in terms of, let's find these things out, or right, there's a wee nudge.
Yeah.
I didn't even bother looking up because I couldn't hear Tony Todd in this or get any indication.
He was
and
not
I didn't look it up. Yeah, I didn't even bother looking up because, to be honest, I didn't care. This is so grey and beige, bland and predictable.
It felt like another studio purchased the license, much like when Universal purchased Tremors from Stampede. So they purchased the name and they did a facsimile of it, but they didn't include the important parts. There was no heart. There was no like care about
David R Ellis. He directed the last one. He directed part 3.
Yeah, it's the same director, but it just feels like it's a different studio. It feels like it's a cheaper knockoff version of a Final Destination movie.
Is it just a stage of there's nowhere else for this franchise to go? I mean, it's explored everything it can, and it's just going through the motions now.
See, I disagree. I feel like even with the flaws of the former movies, they've
I wasn't making a statement. I was asking a question.
Oh. I just like disagreeing. I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, you didn't really say anything I could disagree with, but I'm gonna try. But no, I feel like every movie has tried to take some unique spin on it. Like the first movie is obviously original because it's the first. The second movie I thought was interesting with the concept of new life could defeat death. Like that was an interesting.
The baby and we talked about the tenuous links, which are a bit too much. The third was taking a positive action, wasn't it?
The third, I thought the photographs was a different spin on it.
Yep.
If you focus on the photographs, that was a different spin. This movie had none of that. There was no creativity.
Nick has loads of premonitions, we've seen that before though. Like I didn't think that was that original. The premonitions, yeah. It started to go interesting when he felt the rush of wind. And if he had went, oh right, let's get out of here, guys. There's something not right, and then it happened.
Yeah.
I think that would have, and they could have just ran through the effects, but they had a chance there to change it and refresh it. That he just got a feeling without going through the premonition scene again.
Right.
And then they just bottled it and went through the same old.
Yeah. See, I'm interested in that aspect, like what is behind death, like what are the rules, like what is the philosophy of it, like why is it
and why are people getting warnings? Who's giving the
Yeah,
warnings? You know what I mean? If death is a sentient entity,
right.
then is it life that's giving the warnings? Because it's not. You know what I mean? Is there a battle gun taking place?
Exactly. This is the part that I'm like anxious to get more on, and
Yeah.
we got none of it. And Tony Todd wasn't even in this, and I think he really could have added a lot of value.
Bloodworth, and then if we had
Bloodworth.
maybe been introduced to a new character who was the
Mm,
anti-Bloodworth,
mm.
or just having played two characters, but he turns up in a white suit and a red suit, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
with
but they'd already missed that by the third one, like the last one,
mm,
because they just had him as voiceovers, and they took even the Final Destination 3, they took all that out of it, of Death being a sentient character.
yeah, they did.
Like,
And that to me is the most fascinating, part, and it's just
well, that's
unexplored with these.
give this thing legs now. In
Yeah.
fairness, it did make its money back, etc.
Oh, it's commercially a
Yeah.
success. Yeah.
So maybe we're just not like I was never part of that crowd of let's go watch Shiny Lights and I have done it, but I get fed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm not a big massive fan of action movies because they bore me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just I can't watch like a couple of action movies in a row. That's actually one of the least. I would have went to fantasy, sci-fi, all sorts, but action movies would have been way down the priority list.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Because
one
you
of
want
them.
something to engage your mind, something that makes you think, something that you don't immediately forget
Mm-hmm.
after you walk out of the theater. Yeah. And this has that potential because it has such an interesting premise, destiny and fate and death and but like you're left wondering, like, if death is giving him these premonitions, does it want him to prevent them? And if
Mm-hmm.
it wants him to prevent them, why is it making the clues so obscure? And why does it still seem intent on causing these deaths anyway? So it really doesn't want him to prevent it. So you're left wondering, and they don't give you any information as to what is actually going on behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes.
I'm just getting a sort of rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Gesundheit.
Sorry about
Gesundheit. No
that.
worries.
Thank you. I just felt that one building for those. But yeah, we're getting none of that's being explored anymore. They've like just dumped all that
Yeah,
with this one.
exactly.
So we get introduced to all these characters. The cowboy.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just take his hat off?
Because again, they want to go out of their way to show you even a cowboy is a bad character because he's not willing to take his hat off. This way when he dies, oh well, he was selfish, obviously, and self-centered.
Even though he
They
said, "Oh, sorry, I'm out on your way," and moved on. But
yeah, they don't think that we could handle that as an audience if he was a nice guy and got killed. They want to like go out of their way to like, no, this guy's a jerk too.
this is people have been saying, complaining about horror. Oh, we need more budget. We need it more mainstream, and I have been arguing against that,
Yeah.
saying no, we don't, because this is what happens. You get this is basically an action movie now. It's the horror's out of it,
Yeah.
and
You're desensitized to it because you don't care about the characters, and there's so many repeatable deaths. And also another thing that bothers me, and it was worse in this one than the other ones, is they just don't seem to grasp physics. Like they think the human body is made out of like some sort of like jelly product, like a tire hits the woman and like just completely like her head just smushes.
not even just their head, but part of her neck and shoulder,
Yeah.
as if it was a missile.
Yeah, like I'm not saying she wouldn't have died. It was coming at a high velocity,
Yeah,
but there was no
broken
like recoil. There was no like whiplash. It was just no, just
Tire
like
didn't
a
bounce.
like a grape. Like humans are made of
Yeah.
grapes, apparently.
Yeah, the tire didn't even bounce.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there wasn't even a poof, Yeah, you got hit in the back of the head with something. It would snap your neck, but it would bounce off you.
yeah,
But it's just went like why did they do a tire? They may as well have just done a sheet of metal or something.
yeah. Insert a sheet of metal and then it works just as
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Good. And then we got the mother who brings tampons to stick in her kids' ears.
Yeah,
You're
I
just
get.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah, again, another character they really try to focus on is a bad person, and doing that to her kids. Although the one realistic part of this movie is that we see that the mother is a bad mother for doing that, and the kids turned out to be jerks because they're throwing rocks at the gardener later on. So that's maybe realistic that there's a correlation between the mother and the kids being
Yeah, but that's some people aren't raised; they're dragged up.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, that's what you get. Like grew up all around freaking kids I got. It's horrible.
yeah.
Like it was Lord of the Flies, my neighborhood growing up.
Was it?
Oh, it was bad. Um,
But that reminded me when she was putting the tampons in. There's like a growing trend in the States. I don't know if you've seen this, where parents play tricks on their kids, like with the eggs, where they like smash the egg on the kid's face and they record it and post it online. It's this whole pranking their kid, and then like, what are you doing? You're embarrassing your child and you're posting it for likes or views. Like it's absolutely horrible. And this was a good example of that.
I've seen some mental. I try not to. I try to stay away from all that because it just hurts my brain.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like what was one? A girl drops her kids off at her mother's to basically have my kids. I don't want them anymore because we've got a new boyfriend now. And they have an argument in the street, and the mother's recording it, and it's just the fact of why would you record? This is personal, like
Yeah,
deeply fucking personal. And plus, the kids are there on the porch,
yeah.
like watching this, and then
That's
it's getting recorded and going on the internet. So those kids will be identified as like being part of this argument of it's crazy. It's I can't
yeah,
put it into words. The mindset of what people will do to get a few clicks.
right, right. Oh, it's
Um,
hard. It's horrible. But that's what this reminded me. That's what this reminded me of. This mom putting tampons in the kids' ears.
yeah. But once again, it's just this, like you said, we've got to not like these characters. We've got to make them unlikable
Yeah,
because how dare you have any sympathy?
yeah. Give us as an audience some credit. Like we could, reconcile when a good character dies that it's still fake. It's still a movie. Like we'll be okay. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go so far out of your way to dumb it down for us that these are bad characters. We could deal with it. You know.
And then Nick has his premonition, and honestly, I just I didn't feel it. Like it was so cartoony and CGI laden, and yeah, I kind of went meh.
Yeah. This is probably one of my biggest criticisms of this movie, and they have not done this up till now. They've been very judicious with the effects. The first movie, which probably had the lowest budget because it was
Mm-hmm.
the first one, the plane crash looked real. Like the deaths with the strangulation didn't look fake or anything like that. It was very good. And this with the premonitions, the CGI of the snake coming to life and just throughout the movie was absolutely horrible, and it takes you out of it. It
Mm-hmm.
takes you out of that suspended disbelief. It's like Tremors 2 CGI.
This was meant to be 3D as well.
Oh my gosh, that would have been worse.
Oh god, that was the franchise killer right there. If you said if the movie was coming out in 3D, you were just like, nah.
Yeah,
It's just they were horrible. Like there's no way 3D doesn't look good. Doesn't work, and you don't need it.
yeah.
Just
Especially if you have to be subjected to that level of low graphic CGI, but now closer to your face. It's just that seems cruel.
yeah. It's like oh, no need.
Yeah,
And people complain in the 50s with the Tingler come out that were electrocuting people. I was like, well, I'd rather that than this.
yeah, yeah,
Or isn't it IMAX do the 3D thing as well? Like
yeah. They do.
yeah, God, it's just awful. It doesn't add anything to the movie. It's a gimmick, and it
Yeah,
usually has lazy storytelling and lazy, just laziness.
Yeah, I think if it's done right, it could work. Like there are certain movies where like there are certain battles and movie Avatar. I don't think you're a fan of the movie, but there are certain
It was a
battles.
cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. But there are certain battles where like
Hmm.
it was immersive, there are certain movies like that where if it's like subtle, it's okay. But when they like the guy points the sword at the screen for like 10 seconds and it's like, oh yeah, right.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we get it. It's 3D.
Yeah.
You don't have to like
I think
uh
the only one that did it, like, because it was all tongue in cheek, was Piranha 3D.
I didn't
But
see
it was
that.
taking the mick. It was just having a laugh.
Okay.
You piranhas jumping the screen and stuff and boobies jiggling and all sorts, just the but it was actually making fun of the 3D process, so everyone was like got the joke and like went on board with it. But everything else is Dread got it right,
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
but everyone was burnt out with 3D movies at that point. That's why
Right.
it tanked.
Right.
But for the slow mo scenes, oh my god, it was brilliant. But that was like you were watching a normal movie just for the slow mo scenes, and that's all they did it for, and it made perfect sense.
Hmm.
But once again, 3D's just got that bad a reputation that it just kills a movie now. If you say it's in 3D, like nah, I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about those towers. Like, oh my god, like they may as well have had spikes in them or something.
Yeah. I there's just no basis in physics or any like thought that went into like the stunts behind it, and it just becomes silly and gimmicky, and it's hard to take seriously.
But even if this was, because it's not a comedy series, because there's no jokes really. It's just there was one attempt at a joke towards the end. Yeah, there's one attempt at a joke towards the end, and it just didn't land because you're just like, what's going on? Yeah, and they just
Sorry
line
to
all these characters up in the sports thing stadium. That's the word I was looking for.
stadium.
Yeah, and the only character they wanted you to feel sympathy for was George.
Yeah, and it worked. I did. I like
Yeah,
George. Yeah.
George like a character.
Did you know or did you recognize George from another movie?
No.
It was he was Bubba Gump in Forrest Gump.
Oh, was I right?
Yeah. He looked familiar, so I had to look it up. But that was a three-dimensional. Speaking of 3D, that was a three-dimensional character. He had a
Mm-hmm.
backstory. He had a tragedy that he lost. He had flaws. He was, an alcoholic and thought about killing himself. Like that's an actual character, and it
Mm-hmm.
works because not to jump ahead, but when he dies in the movie, it was shocking and it had value because you actually cared about him. And imagine if the whole movie was like that, had three-dimensional realistic characters,
Yeah.
then you would actually be, shocked or have some emotion when the characters die. But it would seem like it was uniquely, him.
Yep. It's like if they don't want you to be shocked or they don't want you to have emotion, make it a comedy.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make it a comedy, make it funny. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people slap the comedy label on something and it just doesn't. Sure, this is really funny. You should laugh at this. No. But
That
this
is
is
the movie
this
that
is the
shall not be
lowest.
named.
Yeah.
It's like Harry Potter.
2 more to go. This is just for the lowest common denominator. This is for people that just don't have a brain, get into it, and then don't have less of a brain coming out. Like there's no.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's not even one to get upset about. It's just, like I said, just shiny lights.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I will say, they just trying to find positives again. One thing that I do like, they've used it in a couple of the movies. I think the best example in this movie was the mom when she's in the hairdresser. They do sometimes tease you where it looks like something's going to kill the character, and then it's not. So they did that in the last movie with the the two girls in the getting tan in the tanning salon,
Mm-hmm.
where it looks like a bunch of things were going to kill them, and then eventually one of them did, but they kind of like tease it and play it out a little bit. That they did a good job. The lady cutting her hair and the chair falls.
Yeah.
And then like the ceiling fan falls, and so I kind of like that because it keeps you on your toes, and then when actually something happens, it's a little unexpected.
Yeah, that would be a sense of fun. Like, we've had that all through the franchise. The problem is this is so beige that you're just kind of numb to it. Like, it doesn't pay. It's too late in the movie.
Yeah,
for you to be invested, because you've had all the stuff happen before, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Is this over yet? Like,
yeah.
When you're watching the timer to go, okay, how much more of this has got to go?
Well, that's one good thing. This was the shortest one of the four, so at least they did that right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we meet, like, if you didn't know he was a shitty person the way he spoke to his wife, but Mr. Racist person.
Yes.
If you didn't know he's racist, they make sure you know that he's racist.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's like, okay, right, we get it. Nah, we're going to go on for another 10 minutes. Right, okay, yep, we still get it. Nah, we're going to have a few scenes later. We'll get it. Okay, well done, you. You're heroes.
Yeah.
Well done, Hollywood. You've signaled your virtue. Fucking well done.
Right, exactly. And again, this would be an interesting point. Like, death seems to revel in the deaths of these types of characters, right? It just seems like they go out a little bit extra gruesome sometimes. Some of the worst characters seem to have gotten a little bit of the short end of the stick. Not every case. The girl with the nail,
like the last one,
the nail gun.
Yeah,
she didn't.
Yeah,
she didn't deserve that. That's true. It's not always 100% of the time, but it does seem to revel in some of these deaths. And again, I'd like to know why. Like, that's an interesting concept. Is there some sort of justice system?
That's what they messed up with. I don't know whether it was contract or what, but the character of Bloodworth, there was your exposition device.
Yeah,
there was somebody else to explore, and then if somebody had to come up to face him, and then they had been sitting having a cup of coffee or playing a game of chess or something.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. You like talking about it. There was opportunities there to make this a wee bit deeper without loads of exposition, and just didn't bother.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, a missed opportunity for absolutely. And the racist guy is the best example so far. Yeah.
But then, like I said, if they had just dialed it back a bit, but because it beat you over the head, you're just like, okay, right, and then you just become numb. You're just like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Dear. And then the really here's Andy on. Harry, man.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Don't worry about it. This Tuesday, we're playing the Leon game. And we're all going to die gloriously. Or we'll die anyway, more likely, because some of the team have met a queen. So it's like, uh-oh.
It does feel like the conclusion's coming, right? It feels like it's been building.
Right there.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Fun. Good group. Yeah.
Then we get but Nick has his premonition. He leads everybody out as always. Blah blah blah. And then instead of trying to piece things together, we'll now let's not bother about it. Let's just give Nick multiple premonitions. Again.
Yeah, which kind of breaks canon, doesn't it? Like, up until now, like, the protagonists have only had like the one premonition, and then they get clues where they get like subtle hints. They don't get like a full blown premonition. So it went from like this glimpse, and we're not sure if it was accidental. It was not they ruined Death's plan, Death's design, to now all of a sudden he's like a superpower. He's like got like a superpower of premonition. He's like, it's a different it breaks canon from what we've seen up till now. It's kind of strange.
Feels lazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like there couldn't be bothered with this movie. It's like, let's just throw out another one. Who cares? The audience that watch it are dumb, you know. And that's not me saying the audience that watch it. You know, it's just this is what they're saying. They're thinking, because it's the only reason you put stuff like this out. It's like, well, they're thickos. They'll turn up anyway. Stuff them, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we get the whole exposition dump because, of course, Laurie and Nick go and search stuff up. So we get the whole, here's how it connects to the whole universe. We'll find a load of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, it wasn't even drip fed or anything. They just, let's get this over and done with so we can just go with the shiny lights.
Yeah, exactly. No creativity. Like we've already seen from a previous movie that they learned about the rules from a newspaper article about the original Flight 180. So now they're repeating that. Like there's no creativity. You have to give exposition to the audience, some of which you assume have never seen a previous Final Destination movie, particularly if you're not labeling it Final Destination 4, like you're trying to grab in new people. So you do have to explain to them, which I totally get, but find a creative way to do it. Don't just have them read a newspaper article. You've done that already. This is where Bloodworth could have added value. Find a creative way for him to give exposition to the audience, or a new way, without just, this article, this happened already 12 years ago, or whatever, how many years ago. Yeah, it's very, very...
No, there's been a whole bunch of these and loads of stuff's happened at the end.
Yeah. The end
as well. How are you, Mom?
Yeah. Hey, Shay. How you doing, bud? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like they just couldn't be arsed. They're like, okay, let's get this up, bit over and done with.
Right.
And then we'll have, this has annoyed me, the whole franchise. This whole taping everything up and bubble wrapping and just, it doesn't serve any purpose.
Yeah. We've seen that again in the first one. And I guess
and
it's
second one,
and the second one and the third. Yeah, right. The first one they showed it where they went to that cabin and they were trying to get everything taped up. Yep. So I guess it's trying to make you as an audience feel like the characters are aware of the danger. They're trying to do everything they can, and it's useless. But when you've repeated the same trope, it just kind of like serves to delay the storyline. It's just like you want it to, like, all right, let's get to the next point.
Yeah, if you're not going to waste time and find out this is the thing, then why waste time with that scene?
Yeah.
When you know they're going to leave the place anyway, they're not just going to set it out at the end of the movie. They're just don't bother.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, how could you actually prevent every possible way of dying? Like, humans are very fragile creatures. Like, you could breathe in like the wrong germ and that's it. Like, so for you to like tape up scissors, like that's not that's not going to prevent anything,
It's silly. It's just the only place it worked was in Clearwater, or sorry, Riverside, the institution where Claire was, because she was just, broken by the whole experience, and that was fair enough.
Right.
It was a bit clunky when they introduced her, like we talked about that, but just the fact that she was going those extremes, that wasn't necessarily her beaten death. It was just her mind being broken by the whole experience.
Right.
Which actually would make sense if you faced a god or one of the forces of nature, death incarnate. Your mind's going to go wibble.
Absolutely.
It's
and
Cthulhu players understand this.
Yeah. I remember my stand.
When you meet the great old ones or their minions, you kind of go wibble, and that's it. So that makes perfect sense. But
I remember that.
So it was just.
Yeah, I remember that call the beacon. What was it?
The lightless beacon.
Lightless beacon. Yeah. Call of Cthulhu, lightless beacon.
I'll get another one set up.
That was fun. Yeah, but that was an interesting point in the second one. Like, if you go to that extreme, you actually can keep death at bay, and she did that in the mental institution. But like the character, I think it was Kimberly, pointed out to her, have you really beaten death? Because you kind of like gave in, if you're basically your whole life is just sitting in the corner of a padded room. So that was a very interesting, thought. Like this franchise has had moments of thought-provoking story ideas like that. You know, like at what point, at what extreme would you go to prevent death? And at some point, have you gone too far and now you're just giving up on life? That's a very
Is being
thought-provoking
alive
idea.
actually living? That's the eternal question, isn't it, of the human condition?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, for like, just to take it to a real life example, like I have, you know, I know people who are very, you know, health extremes where they won't eat anything bad. They'll go their whole life without, you know, eating anything, you know, that's bad for them or doing anything that's bad for them. And they probably will live a lot longer, but then, you know, they'll get to the end of their life not having experienced any of those things too. So there's got to be like a balance. You know, I'm probably the other extreme, but somewhere between us, there's. But somewhere between us is probably a balance. You have to live life a little bit too, you know.
But that's this movie does none of that, by the way, in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
They just decided not to bother this time. It's like, nah, shiny lights, CGI stuff.
Right.
That's all you're getting, suckers.
Right.
Give me your money, peasants. And then they go to find the other guy. Not, you know, I mean, there's a lot of generic characters in this, but they find the guy who's working in the garage.
Yes.
Like, that place should be shut down.
Yeah.
Here's the thing as well. If you've ever seen anyone that works with custom cars, right, their garages are like labs. Laboratory, they are spotless. If you're doing that sort of custom work on a car, especially if somebody's here 20, 30 grand, you know, plus to get this thing, those things aren't, they're absolutely spotless, and everything has to be cleared before every car.
Yeah.
So a car comes out, then everything's cleaned up, all the tools back before you start the next one. It's just, they are that rigid about it because it's, you know, you're dealing with 100 grand pieces of machinery that have been tuned and customized, and people put their entire souls into these things.
Right.
I mean, it's I'm not a big car person, but I have seen, like I said, I've grown up with all these motorsports, which is relevant because I've seen those sort of people, you know, especially people with their bikes and stuff. They get split down for the winter. You know, I mean, they take the bikes apart for the winter in a heated garage.
Yeah.
And then it comes out again. You know, I mean, that's the level of hobbyists. That's what they are.
Mm.
So the garage being the way it is, I know it's to make you go ooh, but once again, it's just anyone that understands anything about garages in general don't work like that. They'll be closed down in a minute.
Yeah. That place was a death trap. I got the impression that after the guy died, there was someone with a blackboard that said like how many days till last death, and he crossed off 3 and put 0.
Yeah.
You don't need death for the, you know, for that. They'll do it on their own. Yeah.
It's but it's so dumb. Like, once again, it's just, and there's no comedy in this. That's the problem. You're expecting there to be punchlines and comedy, but there isn't. So what are they doing?
Yeah, they their version of comedy was like trying to do like a pun, and then like you know, like I'll lose my head over this, and then their head comes off, and then the writer is like, ha ha ha, that's gonna be funny. Like, no, it's not. It's not. You gotta do a little more.
We'll get to later on because there's one particular line that just, I think everyone's going to go ha 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 ha, and it just did not land.
Yeah.
But when that guy, that is the worst CGI I've seen in my life.
Yes.
Like, that is, I can't even describe it. And we've watched Sharknado. Like, even the CGI sharks flopping on the ground look better than that. Him up against the fence.
I really feel like the CGI animator came into work. It's like, all right, let me start working on that scene again. And they're like, oh no, we sent the movie in. It's already finished. He's like, oh, I didn't get to do it.
But I left a sticky note saying not to send it yet. Oh, it fell off the screen. The sticky note fell off the screen. Don't send yet. You know, not finished.
That's what it felt like.
It's bad that we're having to make up our own plot of what happened behind the scenes to make this movie more interesting, because If you want an example of beigeism, just, beige movie, this is it.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. Yeah.
It's. I don't know what to tell you. You just felt like you're plodding along from instance to instance.
Yeah.
Like, even part two, there was still that sense of urgency when they're trying to get the people and get the places and reach them and stuff. This, you're just like, okay, right, we're moving to the next scene now. Haha, that was funny. Okay, we're moving to the next scene now. Haha, that was,
Yeah. Just mindless. Yeah.
And then we go back to our friend Hunt. Like, did you know he was a bad person? Just in case you didn't.
Yeah.
Plus, anyone that wears the jumper with his sleeves that way, that's the equivalent. Do somebody tying the jumper over their shoulder, around their neck.
Right. Right.
You just know they're a twat. Like, he just screams at you anyway. He didn't even have to open his mouth; just his dress told you that. And the exposition scene, but
yeah.
Did you pick up that his coin might be involved in his death? His lucky coin?
Aha. So now that is the important question, I think. This is the only part of the movie that I grabbed onto, and I was like, that is actually kind of interesting, because he did not die while he had that lucky coin. And Colin, it got me thinking.
Did you get thinking?
I got thinking in a movie that does not want me to think.
That's bad, because that could lead to other things.
Yes. Bad things.
Is it time for a theory?
You know it. Yeah, let's get it.
Let's do it.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
I hope you haven't hurt yourself making it, because honestly, you've very little to work with here.
But you bring up a great point about the coin, and it's interesting. So we'll, just to make sure the audience is with us on this. So we have an image here of what we're talking about. So this is Hunt, who's clearly stolen my physique. I want it back at some point. So he's playing with his lucky coin,
which
and
was telegraphed at the very start.
Yes,
because he mentions it about 10 times, so the audience know that it's important.
Exactly. So then, moving along in the scene, the coin gets dislodged from him, and it goes into the pool. So you could say, like, this is Death messing with him, but I think it goes deeper than that. I think Death had to find a way to get him removed from the coin, because it couldn't kill him while he had the coin. I think that his coin, not just specifically his coin, but lucky charms in general, actually have power in this universe. So again, just make sure the audience is with us.
You mean actual magically imbued items, not that crap cereal?
Right. Well, the crap cereal has,
because obviously the audience think the studio thinks we're actually at dumb, so we better clarify these things. Let's explain to the audience, like this
yes.
Production team explained to us during the movie.
Yes, that cereal has different magical properties that we'll get to another day. But
type 2 diabetes, for example.
Yes, that's the one. All right, so you just saved me time. Yes, type 2 diabetes. But again, so the coin is dislodged, and that's when he was able to die. So, lucky charms are present in every society around the world. There is something to this. Everyone knows about the 4-leaf clover, of course. That's probably the most common one. But in India, elephants hold a certain, lucky aspect to it. Red bats in China.
Are they not a bit difficult to, like, put in a pendant around your neck?
They would, but the symbol, you could get like a elephant symbol, and that would hold some,
that wouldn't
some
be lucky,
luck.
Getting an elephant around your neck?
No, you don't want to get stepped on an elephant. That's probably not lucky. But it's interesting that every society seems to have some aspect to this. So, I got to thinking, the power of lucky, charms, and psychologists suggest that lucky charms work through a psychological phenomenon known as the placebo effect, right? So you think that they imbue certain power in you, and it makes you, more confident. So a study in Psychological Science, a publication that I know you and I both get and read regularly, they found that participants who brought their Lucky Charms to a memory test significantly outperformed those who didn't. The key was that it wasn't the charm, but they had boosted self-confidence. There were other studies. University of Cologne had demonstrated the power of this effect when they gave people a lucky golf ball, and they significantly performed better at golf when they use this lucky golf ball. So there's all kinds of studies that I could cite, and I'll have some references if people want. Don't ask, because it'll take me too long. But there is a lot to this. So I started to think about, other examples in Final Destination where this has come into play. So if you recall in Final Destination 3, Julie had that lucky bracelet.
Yeah.
And that was her good luck
but
bracelet.
It wasn't hers. That was her sister's that she swiped off her
No,
sister.
It was hers. Her sister Wendy did swipe it. Exactly. In fact, I have that showing here. Exactly. This is where
did she not steal it first?
I'm
and
not.
Then her sister got annoyed with her because she stole her.
Possibly. But the point was that
weird plot line.
It was, but I think a significant one. I think one that we might have overlooked that now is coming into play after the coin. So if you notice the scene where they narrowly defeated death at that park at the fireworks show, I don't know if you can see, but the sister is wearing the bracelet, and the three of them survived. I don't think this is a coincidence, good sir. I don't know. I added good sir. At the scene at the end of the movie where they're on the train, it happened kind of quickly, so I wasn't able to screen grab it, but I did look. Neither of them is wearing the bracelet, and all three of them die. A coincidence? No, sir. I move on to another example because I can see you're still skeptical. I think you need more proof.
Not at all. Just
all right. I keep wanting to argue with someone. Okay. Well,
I get an impression in one of them moods today.
That's fair. But another example, you didn't say. Final Destination 2. So our buddy Kimberly, what is she wearing around her neck? It's a giant bracelet. And the movie focuses on that. She has to remove that when she goes to visit Claire. She has it on the rest of the movie. And in fact, her and the police officer who was with her are the only ones to survive in the franchise so far. And I think it's because of this bracelet. So what I'm saying to you is that good luck charms hold the power to keep death at bay.
There we go. It's definitely not keeping this franchise at bay. It's obviously the producers have one because that's why they're getting sequels. And you have managed to put more thought on this than the bloody director has. There we go, folks. Make sure you don't lose your lucky charms.
Nice.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Have you seen Dreamcatcher?
Dreamcatcher.
Was
that the 80s one?
Movie. Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you. I saw that as
on a Stephen King movie, and it has Morgan Freeman in it in a weird role. He plays like an army general. He goes. It's about aliens.
I haven't seen that since I was 12, and I mentioned to you that would be a fun one to revisit because
the toothpick thing.
I don't. It was so long
ago. The guy has a lucky toothpick.
Yeah, I want to see it because I remember being scared as a kid, and I think it was the whole thing with the what was the Maximum Overdrive, where it's like just because you're scared as a 10-year-old doesn't mean it's actually a good movie or a scary movie. So it'd be fun to revisit that one at some point, maybe on the channel.
There's a whole scene with a magical toothpick that just makes you go, why? I don't know why it made me think of that, but I just like. But talking to this here, right? Hunt is in the country club, nice little rich boy that he is, and being his lovely, charming self. Obviously, country club rich people don't need lifeguards.
Right. Yeah.
And apparently people drown in the pools all the time because like nobody notices. I love the way it goes simultaneously. The pool's completely empty to full of people, like within the same shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what about it's everybody's in and splishing and splashing, then nobody's in. You're like, right, what is this?
And how powerful is that filter that it could suck a human into pieces? What the heck?
And nobody does a walk. Like, that's one of the things of somebody's a pool guard. Like, the walk around and stuff, it's not just making sure nobody's drowning, but they're checking stuff. Like, maybe something going, beep, and steam coming out of it. You'd be like, that's not good.
Right. Yeah, that was... Again, it's one thing to try to get creative, like, okay, a pool filter is a different way of killing someone, but try to make it a little believable.
Is hand getting trapped in or something? Yeah, because
that was a tiny tube. Like the suction power on that, wouldn't.
Plus, it wouldn't be a suction power. At the end of the day, there might be a little bit of it, but it's gravity's going to do. Why are they going to pump water out when they let gravity do it?
Yeah. That's ridiculous. They didn't explain why it went to that level. Like the he put the water gun, the water squirt or whatever, and it turned it on. But turning it on doesn't explain why it went to overdrive.
Yeah, but also anything that's near water has to be in locked up stuff and waterproof cases.
Yeah.
Like you don't just have an open switch like that when you're working with water. If you any sort of regulation like. Even in your garden, you have to have a box that's waterproof.
Right.
Especially with one of them type. And it wouldn't be that type of switch. It would be a push button one.
Yeah. That's...
And this is me overthinking. This is me just thinking.
Yeah.
Like, just, even as you watch it, you're going, no. It's not even like nerding out. You're just watching this going, no. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Same as a garage. You're just looking at it going, no.
It does take you out of it. That and the bad CGI just completely takes you out of the...
And the characters.
Well, yeah.
And the script.
True. Yeah, and the script. All right.
Like, there's nothing to actually put you into this movie, let's be honest. It's like...
That's a good point.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. That should have been in the cinema door, sort of, when you went in. Like, like they don't want you to get into this movie. They just, I don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of wonder, is it because it's Hunt and everyone's like, right, leave him down there, or like, once again, you just didn't. And of course, they just arrive, not in time. And this has been the theme throughout the whole film, is in they're rushing to try and save the next person, and they just arrive just that wee bit, just to see it happening. And you just think to yourself, like, come on. Once, maybe, but like the whole movie. I just felt like the first three had a bit of an attempt to keep a bit of drama and suspense. This doesn't. This just is so lazy. And it's, you're muted, Chris, if you're speaking.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. No, I'm just saying, at least the fact that they're always racing and just arriving just too late to do anything is a bit contrived. They've been doing it more or less the whole movie. And at least the first three tried to, it either happened, they couldn't make it, and they heard about it afterwards, but I'm bored with the timer going down to 0 sort of thing. It's crap. It's contrived. It's like, don't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but then that's Hunt taken care of, and like, it's telegraphed you're not meant to like him.
I thought it was interesting that they saved the other girl, because it really looked like she was going to go in the
the car wash.
The car wash. I thought that was kind of cool.
That was actually, in fairness, that was decent. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
that was actually quite decent and inventive. And you're, I don't know, I was bored.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That would have been good if we hadn't all the rest of it around it. But because it's in this movie, you're just kind of like, okay. Like, I genuinely didn't care.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
They're so generic. Like I didn't care if they went or not. Like I've no emotional stake in it.
Right. It definitely you definitely checked out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was only watching this to take notes because honestly I checked out of it. Like if I was watching this at another time, I'd either switched off. I'd have been on my phone or making cups of tea and just letting it play in the background, or in
Yeah.
the cinema I'd be going to the concession stand getting an extra hot dog and not really bothering. I would just come out at the end and go, yeah, that was a thing. I wouldn't even be able to tell you anything about it.
Yeah, the theaters probably loved this movie because it was great for concessions because people had no qualms just going up and leaving and coming back. Yeah,
When
they
you've
didn't
got a
miss
good
it.
movie, you're like, okay, right, I'm not getting the jumbo one. I don't want to have to go out to the bathroom or anything. So making sure I'm all sorted, and then you're honed in. Or
Exactly.
if there's a movie like you're not really bothered about, like, can I
Right.
get another thing of popcorn? Some M&Ms would be nice right now. Maybe a hot dog. Yeah, you just it's the same as if you're watching it at home. If you don't pause the thing before you go out to do something, like you
Yeah.
don't care about the movie. And this is one you don't pause. You just stick it on. It's just background noise. You don't care.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, that one bit with the whole car wash scene, it made a bit of an effort, but it's too little in just the whole movie of blandness.
Yeah. For sure. There was little, like I said, there was little sprinkles. To me, the fun is, looking for the background stuff with the 180 and trying to figure out, but they just didn't give you enough nuggets in this to grasp onto.
Nick explain it all with his premonition.
Yeah.
That was it. He just had a premonition. You showed it, and then he went and didn't rescue anybody.
Right.
So they took all that away.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
What can you do? Then what was the thing happened? Oh, somebody didn't die. Oh yeah, George didn't die because he's trying to kill himself.
Yeah, again, that was a possible interesting idea because you would think that would actually be more terrifying to them because it's almost like we have no power over our own lives. That's a very terrifying concept.
Yeah.
They didn't act that way.
Yeah, but but not yet.
They didn't react like human beings would react in that moment. That would be more frightening, in my opinion, right? I mean, the fact that you absolutely have no control, it's going to do whatever it's going to do, when it's going to do it, and you have no say in it. Like the fact of being locked into a certain fate is a terrifying concept, to have no free will, right? That's interesting. And then they ignored it.
But that's a whole genre in itself.
Yeah.
A whole style of movie and a whole topic that, it's part of the human condition, of this idea. Do I have control of my destiny, or am I just a cog in the machine?
Right.
And it's something that's some people find a comfort in being a cog in the machine, others don't.
Yeah.
And it's been the eternal struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we meet mother, tampon lady. And I don't get what her deal. She's a wine mum, isn't she? One of them wine mums.
Yeah, like I said, she reminded me of the people online that do pranks on their kids. Just a terrible mom. She
They're
comes
accessory. They're not her family.
Yeah, and she comes in 10 minutes before they close, and she's just terrible to everybody and very self-involved and stuff. And yeah, it's just not a likable character, which is fine. Like, it's okay to have some characters like that, but when the entire movie is filled with them, that's where it goes wrong. Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, they did all the same as the garage. They basically replayed the garage scene, but it's in a hair salon.
Yeah.
So we'd just seen all this happen, so they're doing it again. You're like, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Why does it feel like even the second and third one tried a bit?
Yeah.
I felt like, obviously the first is the first, and it was a brand new concept, so that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I still felt like the second and third were at least trying to freshen it up.
Absolutely.
They even trying in the same bloody movie from scene to scene.
Yeah. They repeated the newspaper exposition.
Yeah.
They repeated the premonitions. I mean, maybe
In
they
fact, even in the same movie, that's what it's not even like from
Yeah.
previous movies. They repeat the same thing in
Yeah.
the same movie. We'll have
Yeah.
5 premonitions in the movie.
Yeah.
With the
And
even,
even the initial scene, that's like the big thing with Final Destination. Like in the first movie was the airplane, the second movie it was the roller coaster. Oh no, the second movie was the logging
highway.
truck, the highway. The third movie was a roller coaster.
I just love that. That's where James Wong nailed it. Like everyone, this entire franchise, everyone like automatically thinks logging truck.
Yeah.
Like and it was only a brief scene in an entire movie of carnage, but it's everybody's thought about that. You know, there's somebody hitting the nail on the head and getting how to get under people's skin. And that's what this entire franchise is boiled down to, one scene. Which is that just shows cleverness. Like I said, cleverness and trying to make a thing fresh.
Yeah.
It was the sequel that made the iconic scene, not the original movie. That's what I'm saying about them trying.
Yeah, it was about a week ago. I was driving, and there was a logging truck with long logs, just like in the movie. And I drove around to the side, and I almost rolled down. Nope. I almost rolled down the window, and I said, "Nice try, motherfucker! Yeah. You're not getting me this time.
You're not getting me today, Death."
And the guy's like, "What?"
No, he probably gets that 10 times a day. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If he's driving a logging truck, he probably gets that all the time. Everyone's like going, probably used it. Probably loves it. Actually, probably one of the reasons to sign up for the job is be
Yeah.
I just got the feeling the other movies were trying. The other two
Yes.
This isn't even trying in its own movie to be original between different scenes.
Yeah. It starts right from the beginning. I mean, the fact that it's a race is already kind of repetitive because it's cars crashing into each other and wreckage, which is similar to the second one. Like, you know, roller coaster was a different idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, the plane was iconic. Yeah. Like, there's plenty of things we could. I'm sure
boats.
Yeah. Anytime there's a crowd, a building, which you know, maybe kind of risque. Construction site. Yeah. There's all kinds of things. Amusement park. Mm-hmm. You know, this was just like repetitive from the start.
Yep. And you kind of knew how she was going to go out. You kind of knew it wasn't going to be in the salon.
Right.
You just knew because it was telegraphing too much. And the throwing the stone, you knew that was going to be involved.
Yeah, the kids being jerks was something that was going to be brought back. Yeah.
But even that, like, once again, physics. I don't know if it's ever operated a lawnmower. That's not how it works.
Yeah. That seemed a little powerful.
Yeah, but even from that distance, like that thing would have mangled up the lawnmower first before doing that.
Yeah.
Well, once again, it was just silly. And with such precision and power and just, no.
Yeah. At least her head didn't pop open like some of the other deaths, you know?
Yeah.
But still, yeah.
I just, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, is this the bit where they're like thinking it's all, yeah, it is, because they go to try and stop George killing himself and doing this and doing that. And then they're like, oh, it's all over. No, there's still 35 minutes to go. It's not all over. Come on.
Yeah.
That's a final scene sort of thing.
Yeah. I was just going to say a false ending only works when it's closer to the actual ending of the movie. Mm-hmm. When there's a fake ending and you look at your watch and you're like, well, this is 43 minutes left to go in this movie. They're like, well, they're just going to celebrate for 43 minutes and relax on the couch.
It's like, wah, wah.
Yeah.
They're that lazy. They couldn't even bother doing that.
Yeah. If you re-edited this and put that scene at the end of the movie, it would have a little more impact. Yeah.
Who was that ended up in the hospital?
So the cowboy was the guy.
Cowboy?
Yeah, he was in a car crash, and they showed on the news, and that's how they become aware that he survived the car crash. So they race to the hospital to try to see if they can save him. And then while he's in the hospital, the attendant upstairs leaves the water on, which takes all of 2 seconds.
First of all, you've got somebody there in a bathroom restraint. You don't leave them. That's, once again, if anyone's worked in the car industry,
yeah,
you wouldn't do that for a start. Leaving the water running, want to talk about that from the top?
Yeah. And I know it was an emergency, like they got called for, but it takes 2 seconds. It just literally, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's procedures of not rushing about like a headless chicken.
Right.
I believe in a care home and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like in the medical profession, you don't rush about like a headless chicken. It's the most dangerous thing to be in those sort of environments.
Yeah.
And also, if it was an emergency, why is she coming to get him instead of going to deal with it herself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of them, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a bad setup.
It's true.
And you kind of knew where it was going anyway. Once again, lazy.
Yeah. And you didn't care about the cowboy because you saw him for all of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So that you had nothing invested in that scene.
Just there and I was just like, you knew exactly how it was going to go.
Yeah.
Like there's no surprise there.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they arrived just too late. Just in time to see it.
To see it
again in the same movie.
Right.
It's like a third time now or something. You know, I just.
Which is, you know, is death torturing him? You know, we don't know because they don't give you anything to go on. No. Yeah.
It's, a bit of acting, you know, would have been nice in this.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit, you know, give us some acting. Would you give us give us a bit of dialogue, not just one-liners. This feels like a whole movie full of one-liners.
Yeah, you really don't know how the characters are feeling about what's going on. Like, you know, and you have other characters in a scene so that you could have that dialogue, you know. It's a little trickier when it's one person in a scene. Then you need really good acting because they have to do it with their expressions. But when you have two characters, and he went with the two of them went together. Was it Nick and I forget the name, but there was two characters. Yeah. So you know, if you have two characters, they could explain to each other, you know, how they're feeling, and then as an audience, you're brought in.
Why does this keep happening to me? I'm just trying to save, or why? Are we being tortured? Just, you know, a bit of shouting in the sky sort of thing, and
right. But this you have no idea.
No.
So you're left, you know, on the outside looking in.
The only death in this that got me was George's.
Yes, that was effective.
But once again, it was another premonition.
Yeah.
So the impact of the death got taken away because we saw it first in the premonition, and then when it happens the second time, you just ruined it. You just ruined the only actual shocking death in this that took you by surprise.
By repeating it, yeah.
By repeating it in real, you know, even though the second time was all camera, but it happened. It just completely killed the momentum.
Yeah. There's also a lot of bad drivers in these movies. I mean, that guy didn't even slow down until he was like 20 feet after plowing him in.
Yeah.
And it's not like they were, you know, walking on a highway. Like that was like
You would expect to get wiped out there, not in the street.
Yeah. Jeez.
Speed limit's 30. Yeah.
I was going to say that had to be at least 120. That guy went. He was missed.
He's just taking a run. You know what I mean? He's had the handbrake.
Yeah.
Taking a run up for that.
I was like missed after that. Yeah.
Dumb. But yeah, we find out Laurie and Janet are going to the cinema because Nick's found out, you know, another premonition that's going to happen, and he's going to save them. Even the scene with her in the escalator was just like, no, they're not that powerful.
Yeah.
If they were that powerful, nobody get on them.
Right.
There's cutout switches and all sorts. It's just, once again,
Yeah. Yeah. I give them credit. I mean, it was a unique way of killing someone that they haven't used in the previous 3.5 movies at this point. So it was an interesting, way to do it, but the physics of it was off, and yeah,
Yeah, and also once again back to your jelly humans in this that they don't
yeah,
have any,
they're made of
they don't
jelly.
have bones. Bones kind of get in the way,
Yeah, muscle, tissue,
yeah, sinews.
sinews. Yeah, nope, just jelly.
Yeah. But then he realizes what he must do. And then, what is with you Americans? Like, honestly, you go to the cinema to watch a movie, not the friggin' chant. It's not a friggin' sports match where you chant for your team. And that's, I remember this back in 2004 was my first experience of Americans in a cinema, and it was in Kuwait. And I remember a bunch of us going to watch a movie, and woo, rah, rah. You're sort of like, what the fuck is this? Then you realize this is what you do. Why? Why can't you just go to the cinema, watch a movie, and shut up?
I'd say it's a good point, and I remember an example of that when I was younger. I went to see Rocky 3, where he fights against Mr. T.
Oh, Mr. T.
Mr. T was in 3, yeah, and I was in a very packed audience, and let's just say that the audience was 90% rooting for Mr. T, and they're like standing and cheering. And I'm like, you guys know like the name of the movie, right? Like, I hate to break it to you, you're probably not going to be happy at the ending. And they're just like, cheering like it was a sporting event. And then of course, Rocky wins at the end. They're like getting like pissed and they're like throwing things. And I'm like, but you knew the name of the movie. It's not a surprise.
How did you think it was going to go?
Yeah, how'd you think it was going to go? So yeah, you're right about that.
I don't get that. That is. And I remember actually it was an interview I did with Anthony Caro, and he's talking about like proper grindhouse cinemas, and I'm like, what the hell is this? We have none of that crap over here. Like even like a grungy cinema like in London still has standards of behaviour. You get kicked out, you get thrown out if you started acting like it.
Yeah.
Even when we went as kids, that you still need to behave yourself, or else you get thrown out. You didn't get to see the movie.
Yeah.
Like that would start a fight. Like if somebody started, they would get their head removed from their shoulders and thrown out.
Yeah.
Just that thing. You don't get on like that. And it's only your part of the world. I've been to other countries and other cinemas and all of those.
They don't do that. Yeah.
Nobody gets on like that.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I don't. It's hard for Americans to even go anymore, apparently, unless it's has Deadpool in the name of the movie. So you don't get to see that as much anyway. It's tough to get people to get out there.
Yeah, well, flipping. The last time I was at the cinema was what was that I went to say? I went and caught. That was a few weeks ago. I forget.
I know there was one with Nicolas Cage that you liked.
Long Legs. That was it.
Long Legs. Yeah.
Long Legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about going to see that. I thought it was like another one I went to see. I mean, I don't go that often myself, but I try and get out because I enjoy the experience of cinema.
Yeah, there is a big difference. Yeah, definitely. There's nothing like a packed audience for a new release. Mm-hmm. It is more enjoyable that way. It's supposed to be a communal experience. Yeah,
it does shouting and screaming stuff. But anyway, next, listen to the rescue. And he's going to be the hero. Like, you don't feel him as a hero because he's just such a generic, weedy, just pointless character. But
right.
In the premonition, is it the premonition? I can't remember because it sort of blends in. No, it isn't. It's he sees it and then he runs, and there's this whole thing of the sprinkler system doesn't work, or the fire alarm doesn't work. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. And he, is active bravery.
Yeah.
Saves everybody. But why is death going to wipe out an entire cinema? Is that not like an entire movie on its own?
Right. None of those people were at the
NASCAR thing.
At the NASCAR. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. It's like the movie switched, and now he's just like a superhero.
Accidentally went into Final Destination 5.
Yeah. Or a different movie entirely. Yeah. It was very, very strange. And if you think that's weird, I saw there was an alternate ending, and it's on YouTube that I looked up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the alternate ending, he basically runs in, kind of similar. It starts out similar. He runs in. He has a premonition. He tells Laurie and Janet. Yeah, he finds them actually while they're still shopping before they even go into the movie this time. He tells them what's going to happen and to run to leave the mall, but he still says, "I have to go in and save everyone else. This is what I want my mark to be." So this very like courageous thing that we know have no reason why. He's already saved his girlfriend and his friend. So then he runs in anyway. The fire is already going. He grabs a container of flammable liquid. And this is his solution because the fire extinguisher won't work and the sprinkler won't work. He jumps out the window knowingly to his death, explodes with an empty car outside. And that explosion causes the sprinklers to come on and causes people to hear about it and leave the theater and are saved. That's your solution to kill yourself by jumping out a window and exploding things?
Nah. That's actually worse than this.
Yes, so that's the alternate ending. You can look it up on YouTube if you want to see it.
No, thanks. I'll pass. I've only one more of these to do. If it's anything. Well, actually, we might have two if we make this new one.
Yeah.
But then he tries to get Janet to leave, and we get the worst punchline ever. I was meant to see this movie.
Yeah.
Because I was meant to go to this movie instead of the NASCAR thing, and I was meant to see it. Boom. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense after they saved her life from the car wash. You would think you would be so traumatized. If anything, you would be like clear, and you would be in a mental institution.
Yeah, or the minute they said something's up, they'd be straight away. They just completely change your character.
Yeah. Made no sense.
And that was meant to be a lol gag. That was meant to be, haha, funny line, blah,
blah,
blah. And then have you ever seen that movie, Never Back Down?
No.
It's, they made a load of sequels. It's a martial arts movie. It's back when I used to watch other things. There's a reason why I don't watch other genres anymore. But that stupid X-ray effect. So you can see bones breaking stuff. They've used that before. And it really has aged and dated. It's horrible.
Yeah. It seems like a poor choice to end the movie on a bad special effect, doesn't it?
Well, they started the movie in a bad special effect, I suppose. So may as well start how you finish how you need to go on, sort of thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah. And you're left like with questions like, what was the whole point then? Like, why did death give him the premonition? Like, you're just left scratching your head. Yet it made 187 million. So I mean, it's tough to argue. Like, if you're the studio, unfortunately, it's like you're a child.
You're keep doing this.
It's like you're a child rewarded for bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to keep repeating it. So unfortunately, because it did so well, I can only expect Final Destination 5 to be similar. And I'm just thinking like, man, like there's such potential here for a much deeper, more thought-provoking movie. And we just don't get it.
And it doesn't have to be like super intense, it's just a bit of a storyline. You can have you can have all the death scenes and that and stuff and a bit of fun, but you just have to have the bits in between just a bit more thought out.
Yeah. And you can take it a more comedic way, like an Army of Darkness style. You can take it funny. You can take it serious, but pick a lane. I feel like this is just so...
It just doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a bunch of action sequences just shoved together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
and they're just like, "Oh right, I suppose I have to say something now in between to get to the next action scene." Right? Fine.
Yeah.
Words go.
Right. Yeah. But if
No,
you're in
it's
Final
really-
Destination 5, get yourself a 4-leaf clover, and you
yeah,
might survive.
Yeah, we'll try and survive. Also, I was really disappointing entering the thing. It really was.
Yeah. Worst of the 4. Yeah.
It doesn't even make me angry or annoyed. Just feel empty.
Yeah.
But there you go. We are back to, oh god, for flip's sake, we're in a downward spiral now. Where are we on? Sharknado 5?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. God, right. Okay. Yeah, we're back for that next. So that'll be fun. Yay. Chris, mate, thanks as always.
You got it.
Board, always a laugh. And until next time, folks. Thanks to everybody that tuned in, by the way.
Yes.
Hello,
Thanks,
chat.
guys.
Yep. And until next time, keep updated with the channel. Do the type of clicky things. And remember to keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.